Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I'm fairly certain my head is not like a shark's fin.
And I'm Gary, and today we're going to review and discuss Deep Blue Sea, which released in 1999 from writers Duncan Kennedy, Donna Powers and Wayne Powers, and directed by Renny Harlin. Iain, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Well, the story follows a group of scientists and researchers working under Dr. Susan McAllister, played by Saffron Brown. She has come up with a new experimental way of pulling out a certain protein from sharks' brains to help Alzheimer patients. But secretly, she has genetically manipulated the structure of the sharks to make them almost 3 times as big as normal so that they can get more of the enzyme out of their brain. Unfortunately, this has made the sharks smarter, faster, and deadlier, and now they've escaped into the facility. And as the facility starts to sink into the ocean, how many of the scientists and researchers will survive, and how many will become chum?
Beneath its glassy surface, a world of gliding monsters.
Well, Deep Blue Sea, it's kind of kept its relevance, I think, in the horror action world as terms of shark movies. There are at least 30 shark movies made every year.
Yeah.
That we know of. And not a one of them has ever even come close to surpassing the masterpiece that is Steven Spielberg's Jaws. And so every single shark movie will always just be compared to it. It's like, why bother? But it's like, well, how about we do it, but we don't have like the somber, slow burn pace of Jaws, but just go for a die-hard cliffhanger, long kiss goodnight director, action explosive fest with some Renny Harlin, cheese thrown in there. And well, I still feel from general audiences, people that I talk to, that Deep Blue Sea is the second best shark movie ever made.
Third, next to Jaws 2. But that's just me.
Just you. Thanks for throwing that one in there, Iain. But yeah, I also remember that Deep Blue Sea was also the first film I ever went to the cinema twice for. I was like, I couldn't believe that I'd just seen what I'd just seen. I like dinosaur films, I like shark films, and becoming just at the right age to then go and see this in the cinema, I was like, I have to see that twice.
Yeah, I was exactly the same. I remember the trailer dropping on TV and thinking to myself, oh my God, there's a new shark movie out. I love Jaws. I love Jaws too. I need to see people get eaten by sharks. And, we're talking 1999 trailers. Trailers didn't give you a lot away. It was just a few snappy, quick images and montages and action and, released on certain date. And like you said, I was at that age as well. I was like, oh, I can actually go and see this. I have money. So I went to the cinema and I watched it on the big screen, which in comparison to nowadays, the big screen is not as big as it used to be. But it was still nice to see shark effects and people getting eaten by sharks. And just, like, I remember coming out of the cinema and people were happy and excited to go see the film. But it wasn't, I also got from the audience, it wasn't like Jaws. It wasn't going to be the smash hit movie of the summer, making people not want to go into the water again. Because what I also felt that Deep Blue Sea had done was invigorated our kind of love for Jaws as being a great movie, but also reminding us that Jaws isn't the be-all and end-all of shark movies. We can have shark movies that aren't as good as Jaws, but they're fun.
Yes.
They're explosive. The special effects, they might be a bit dodgy in places and the acting might not be Oscar winning, but it's enough to keep you going along with the pace. That when the final explosion happens and the shark pieces go everywhere, you clap and you go, yay!
Yeah.
There's Dr. Jim Whitlock, the most brilliant man ever.
He's pissing into the wind. How brilliant can he be?
And this film's no different. And it opens, you have a standard horror cold open where we have a bunch of teens,
yeah.
40-year-old teens on the boat drinking and having fun. And of course, there's a shark attack. They don't know that, but we're in the audience. We know it's a shark movie. We know they're about to get attacked by a shark. And that shark, it starts banging on the boat. It bursts up through the bottom. And of course, everyone scatters and falls into the ocean. There's the wine bottle that falls over, so it looks like blood going into the water. But just as the shark is about to make its attack, here comes Shark Wrangler Thomas Jane, save the day with his harpoon gun.
Carter Blake, saving the day. I think this was probably the first time I actually saw Thomas Jane.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
In something. I know he'd done films before because, I think he's a prisoner in Face Off a couple of years before, but he's got blonde hair and glasses, looks nothing like that, and then later on, he'd go off to do Mutant Chronicles.
And then The Mist.
And then The Mist is great, but Mutant Chronicles.
I like it.
And the Punisher movies as well. So he was being set up as being the next big action hero, but he quickly got quietly forgotten. We made the joke, Gary and I, where we get him confused with Aaron Eckhart.
Yeah.
So the two of them should do a movie together.
Which is funny because Renny Harlin's just made another shark movie with Aaron Eckhart.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't tell them apart. Is that Harvey Two-Face or is that, I don't know.
But I've always loved the way this movie starts. I think they did really, really well with the music.
Oh yeah.
How it's the music got this gentle tone to it where it feels like you're just dabbling your feet in water.
It does.
And then as the music gets deeper and more bombastic, it feels like you are under the water as the sharks are there. Like I said, the teens are there on the boat. Where are they? We don't know. They're in the middle of the fucking ocean. And you got all these little build-ups of the shark is watching the POV sequence. Like we said, Carter Blake, played by Thomas Jane, saves the teens, recaptures the shark, and takes it back to the Aquatica, they call it. It's like a World War II old submarine refitting station that they have utilized money from Samuel Jackson's character's company to retrofit to be able to house the shark so that they can experiment on it. And I got to give it to Thomas Jane as well. He's not the absolute best action star out there, I will say that. But he does bring his action characters a bit of an intelligence. And I find this in Deep Blue Sea where, he is just the shark capturer. He can swim. You get that great sequence where he dodges the shark's mouth and he pulls the license plate out of his mouth.
Nice bit of trivia is that license plate has the exact same reading as the one that they pull from the belly of the shark in Jaws.
Nice. That's cool.
So that's how you reference Jaws,
Yeah. But But Thomas Jane's Carter character, like I said, is pretty switched on because he will, back and forth with Michael Rappaport's character, and he'll say to him, how big are those fences? How did the shark escape? You didn't do something last night. And Michael Rappaport's like, no, I did. You should trust me. I'm the trustworthy character in this movie. So when I say something's going to happen, it might happen. So you should believe me until I die. And Thomas Jane's character is like, right, okay, well, let's try and give us a couple extra feet because you get from his character, he feels the sharks are getting smarter.
Right. Well, they might actually be.
Yeah.
But we do also cut then to briefly to a CEO office.
Yeah.
And we got Ronnie Cox sat there. I'm like, man, why hasn't he got any dialogue?
Ronnie Cox doesn't need dialogue.
He just,
he just sits there.
But him sitting there not saying a word, I was like, oh, this is the villains. This is all of the villains. Yeah. Just because Ronnie Cox is out, I'm like, all of these are the bad guys.
Oh, totally, yeah.
And poor Samuel Jackson, he gets brushed under villainy straight away because he's with this group. And because he's Mr. Moneybags. So I'm like, right, you're the sleazeball lawyer bad guy that's going to die horribly. But when he's on the plane flying in, they're he's questioning her about the sciences, she's questioning him about surviving an avalanche.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, so he's actually a disaster survivor. So he might be able to have a certain skill set should things go wrong in the facility. And so you actually start warming to him because he's actually quite nice.
Yes.
He actually has some nice words to say. I mean, he is worried about the business and the company and what his money's being spent on. But when he starts talking to some of the other people at the station, they also resent him because they all know that if the money man's turned up, the pressure is on for whatever experiment they're about to do. Because should it fail, they're all going to be out of jobs on Monday. And there is this kind of love relationship that is the foundations are there between Carter and Dr. Susan. where they kind of have a mutual attraction to each other, but they both have very different ideological views about what the science is and what they're doing.
Yeah.
So there's a friction there, but there's also a bit of chemistry there. So you're like, okay.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. But it's also like, yeah, the conflict, because like you're watching a movie about sharks, yeah? So you're not expecting fucking, you want it to have Oscar-winning fucking dialogue and action sequences like Jaws. It's not going to happen, okay? Jaws took that pedestal and it's not letting it go. But when you're watching a movie about sharks, genetically modified possible sharks, you're like, okay, somebody somewhere fucked up. Somebody somewhere has messed with some things, because the sharks aren't supposed to be that big. They should never be that big. But I like the kind of the mini conflict. Like I said, it's a bit of sexual tension there, which is nice from the actors and actress, playing Carter and Susan, that they've been working together for so long that, there's a bit of tension there. But it's also the fact that, like, he's saying to her, like, it shouldn't have attacked that boat. It shouldn't have been brave enough to do that. And she keeps brushing him off, because to Susan, all she cares about is the experiment. If we can succeed in doing this, not only will we be able to keep the money coming in to keep us afloat, but she'll also personally succeed, because like you said, we had that great dialogue between her and Samuel Jackson where she's explained to him, like, yeah, you can pull the money and you can care about all the funds, but I'm trying to do this because I've had family members who have suffered from this, and I had to tell them constantly about information every day that would break their heart. And so even before the CGI sharks have all kicked off and there's blood and gore, I am liking just the characters at the moment. Yes, Samuel Jackson is kind of evil because he's the money bags, but the more we warm up to him, we realize that that's all he is money bags. He's worked his way up to this level and he's tried to keep himself good. Dr. Susan, though, we're hoping that she's doing this for good reasons, but she's also the Frankenstein scientist.
Oh, yeah, she's Victor von Frankenstein,
Yeah.
and she has created a monster,
Yeah.
which will get loose.
And not told anybody that this is it, because she's afraid of
Yeah.
what'll go. Then we get to, like, the feeding sequence where Thomas Jane is swimming around and he's observing, because they pick up a bull shark, don't they?
Yeah.
Which is looking pretty big, especially the practical model floating there and stuff like that. But man, they drop it into the water, and the two second generation sharks, I think it is,
Yeah.
or like twice its size, they just come along and they rip that shark apart.
Right. Now, that's one thing I will give this film credit for as well, is that they didn't do what most shark movies do and take a great white shark.
Yes.
This film went, okay, well, you've seen enough great whites. Let's
Yeah.
take the Mako shark
Yes.
and do something with this instead. And so, yeah, it's at least refreshing to see a different breed of shark on screen. But it is pretty terrifying how ferociously they tear apart the other shark.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, sharks, cannibals? They eat other sharks? Of course they do.
Well, these ones we found out are doing that. Thomas Jane's character actually specifically says they won't eat anything other than other sharks, which is like, why? To a shark, it should just be meat, right? We see it all the time in documentaries. They dangle the meat in the water, throw some blood in there, and the shark just does its thing. Are these sharks ignoring that kind of food and will only attack live things? Because then I'm like, oh shit, it's the raptors all over again from Jurassic Park. Let's not go there. But it's also, you get introduced to Stellan Skarsgård, Dr. Jim Whitlock, who is the other scientist who has helped Susan to create the design of the thing that they want to use to extract the brains. And it's nice to see that this is pre-Avengers Skarsgård.
Yeah.
This is my son is in film Skarsgård. This is I'm in everything Skarsgård. Like, how smart is he? He's pissing into the wind.
How smart is that?
But it's all the emotional stuff as well. We get introduced to the skeleton crew of Aquatica that will be there over the weekend. So I love that bit of dialogue. It's just like, normally there's 150 people here, but over the weekend we're only going to do it with like 7.
Right. Even the director's leaving. Bye, Renny.
But at the same time, oh no.
Is that a storm on the
That's
horizon?
a storm on the horizon.
Let's tick that cliche box, shall we? It doesn't matter though, because you need an excuse or a reason for things to go wrong on top of things going wrong. Let's just add a storm in there.
Yeah, but it's like you said, with Deep Blue Sea and with, I suppose, the fans of this movie, it's just keeping that pacing going.
Yes.
We're still wanting the sharks to get out and start killing people. We know that's going to happen, but it's...
I will say the film has a pretty good pace, considering no one has been eaten by a shark up until like the 45-minute mark. And you're like, are there going to be sharks in your Shark Pen movie?
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like, where's the action going to come from? And it's like, okay, Thomas Jane's back in the water again. He's got to go and bring in one of the sharks to do the experiment. And when he's going through the cages and he pulls out the rifle to sedate the sharks, and the sharks are like, oh, we don't want none of that. And they swim backwards and swim off, and cut to Samuel Jackson like, tell me I did not just see that. They recognized that gun.
Yeah.
And you got the other lady scientist like, wait a minute, did those sharks just swim backwards?
Yeah.
That's not even physically possible.
Tell me I didn't see that. They recognized that gun.
It's impossible. Sharks do not swim backwards. They can't.
Like, it doesn't actually matter even if they updated their brain sizes 1,000 times. They're still not suddenly going to be able to start swimming backwards.
We don't know. We've never seen a giant shark swim backwards.
It's because they can't. They're biologically made that they can't.
Not if they've been genetically modified to make bigger.
Only their brains made bigger.
But it held its breath.
What?
I don't know, man. This is a shark movie. I don't question it. I have always just loved that line where she goes, sharks can't swim backwards. And it makes me go, what did you do to those sharks? Because you whatever you've done, you should not have done.
There was something else they were doing that's not explained in the movie that why could make them swim backwards. But yeah, so faux science, you know, it's whatever they're doing. It's a reason to have smart sharks.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he managed to swim out into the cages anyway. So, okay, well, if they're smarter, I best just swim out there and get one.
Well, he distracts it, doesn't he? He uses his oxygen tank to distract the shark.
And I do think it is one of my favourite shots in the film where the shark is at the complete top of the frame.
Yeah.
And you can still see him sort of central gliding underneath.
Yeah.
It's a great shot. It puts the perspective. It's almost like the Star Wars shot, isn't it? Of
Yes.
the Star Destroyer coming in with an escaping vessel underneath. It's like that imagery, just the perspective and the scale of it.
It's like with me as well. This whole sequence I absolutely love. You know, from the moment they walk into the lab to the moment Carter comes up on the elevator with the shark, and you've got all the water pounding over the top of it while
Somebody
they try
order
to keep
the
it
fish.
wet. Yeah, Michael Rappaport. I like him. Like his political stuff is something else, but his old films I do really enjoy him in. And you know, Dr. McAllister, she gets the device out and she goes to put it on the shark's head. And then it moves, and he's just like, bad dreams. I'm like, don't fucking make jokes! You've got a giant shark there! Which is pretending to be asleep. You say that, you know, it's like how they swim backwards. How do they pretend to be asleep?
Sharks don't sleep.
Well, this one was supposedly sedated.
Yes, I guess.
But I love this set piece. I love the way the actors interact with like the fake shark and then the device, and then they extract some of the enzyme, and she puts it on some kind of Alzheimer's patient's brainstem, which then shows us the success of the experiment. And
It's firing.
yeah, and you're like, hey, this is great. They've saved the day. End of movie. Nobody's going to get hurt.
They've cured Alzheimer's.
They've saved the world.
Light a
Brilliant.
cigarette.
Fucking Skarsgård.
And use the shark as an ashtray. Oh, wait, it doesn't like that.
You did it.
This effect as well, where the shark clamps its jaws onto his arm, rips his arm off. It's all in slow motion.
Yeah.
The music's kicking off, like him crawling. Fucking Carter is running to go get a gun to shoot the shark, and then he's conflicted with Susan, who doesn't want to lose this. So she hits the button and forces the shark back out into the sea. Man, it's absolute tension up the fucking wazoo, because you wanted something to kick off.
Yeah.
You know, was it going to be the shark? Was it going to be the storm? Yo, it's a stupid human accident. Well, of course it was. You know, but it's just, It's just so brilliant because then they're contacting the tower and they're like, look, we need to get a rescue helicopter out here right now or the doctor's going to bleed to death. And so then you've got this helicopter, the CGI helicopter.
They send in a CGI helicopter, which flies over some pretty CGI-looking waves to a CGI compound. I'm like, oh no, it's all CGI now. No,
It's 1999, you know.
Yes.
That was the pre-birth. Everyone was like, let's just do CGI. Like, I do like Aquatica in the daylight, the set itself sometimes. And when they come out now to get Skarsgård to the helicopter, I like how that set looks with the storm coming in, the water being pounded on them.
According to Samuel L. Jackson, there's several sequences where they were supposed to be hit by a certain amount of water, but they ended up being hit with like 5 times the amount of water. So the actors were constantly being knocked off and splashed into the water and banged around. And he was like, and they left it all in the film.
Yeah.
It's like Renny Harlin was just behind the camera giggling as he's watching these actors get swept away by waves of water.
I think that gives it a bit more realism.
Yeah, it does, because it's a great looking set, and with all the practical water being thrown around. And I think a lot of the actors also got a real kick out of it, because they'd never been on like a giant set like this before, and having all the elements literally to deal with whilst trying to act.
I think as well, if I think about it, that's what helps this movie be cemented, is the fact that with those types of sequences where an actor would get hit with loads of water, you would swap them for a stunt guy.
Yeah.
But then as an audience member and you look, you can tell the difference between the faces. Instead, what you get is the actor being hit by the water and the director going, no, we're keeping that shot.
Yeah.
Because it looks really realistic to the audience members.
Yeah. Throughout the whole rest of the film, you'll see actors slipping and sliding on the floor, and it was never in the script. It was just, there's wet floors, so the actors are running and falling, but they left it in because of how natural it looks. So yeah, that really works. It works.
It just builds up all the excitement, tension to the sequence. They get Skarsgård's body hooked up to the winch, and the helicopter is trying to pull away, but the winch malfunctions. Of course it does.
Because of the storm.
Because of the storm, yeah. Or just luck. And we watch Skarsgård, Whitlock's character, full plunge into the water, right into where the sharks are.
After he's submerged under, you're like, oh, feeding time.
And the winch wire gets pulled, the helicopter gets rammed into the tower, and so Anthony Soprano's sister Janice gets blown out of the goddamn window.
I was like, was that helicopter packing explosives? Didn't it really explode? It's a gigantic fireball.
No, it's just really crazy. What? Because then it just sets off a bunch of like domino effects.
Explosions. The other seaplane explodes.
Yeah, the fuel tankers.
The fuel tankers explode. I understand the fuel tankers exploding like they did, but everything else explodes. It's fine, Renny Harlin. Just have your field day.
There's a couple of nice. I want to say they're CGI. You could probably tell me if I'm wrong or not. But there's a couple of nice, really like underwater shots that are like lit with the fire above, and every time I watch a movie I'm trying to see if there's any sharks in there, but I don't think there are. It's just an underwater shot.
I'm not sure about that. All I do know is they shot on the same soundstage as Titanic.
Right.
I also know that they did have some parts of the set that could be submerged.
Oh wow.
But what they also did was literally put like water panes on all the windows, so it then just looked like you were looking out into the ocean when it wasn't even submerged. It was just
nice.
Water like attached to the outside of the set.
Yeah.
But in terms of the fire above, I don't know how they did that.
Yeah.
I think it's probably CGI, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, because then it would be like the lighting above the water level would be CGI.
Yeah.
Then the water itself and the darkness would all be CGI. So somebody took some time to really detail
It's
that.
also one thing I actually like about the film is that as the film goes on and the action's going and the science base is taking lots of structural damage and lights are flickering and it's falling apart, but the whole film remains well lit throughout the whole thing, which it is really kind of refreshing that you're not there going, what's going on? I can't see nothing. So yeah, it's actually pretty well lit, and so you really get to see the sharks and the locations really well.
Yeah, like this shot, I think is one of the most mesmerizing shots in the entire film. And I like I said, I love Jaws and I hate comparing it, but I think this shot tops some of the shots I even see from Jaws, and that's where you got all the scientists, Samuel Jackson and Carter and Susan and whatnot are back in the lab, and they're trying to communicate with the tower above. And Samuel Jackson just goes, "Somebody tell me what that is." and they look, and you can see outside the giant screen into the ocean something coming towards, and you just see the shark, and in its mouth it's carrying the fucking gurney, which has got Whitlock still attached to it.
Still alive.
Still alive with his little face mask. And the shark just swims up really quickly and just lobs Whitlock at the glass.
Yeah.
Like, does the shark know that it's gonna do enough impact to break the glass, or did it just do it out of spite, just to go, hey, see the guy arm who tried to
You forgot something. Have it back. And you got that moment where he's looking at his girlfriend through the glass, and she's looking at him like, oh God.
Yeah. And then the glass just absolutely breaks. The water comes in. I think this is another one of those shots where you've got Thomas Jane running for the stairs, and the water just takes his legs completely out, and he misses
right
the
past
stairs.
them. Yeah.
And then you cut back to everybody else running up. But it builds up the tension. You want to get out of this room. You're gonna die. You're gonna drown. Sharks are coming in, and so they get out into the corridor, don't they?
Yeah, and just barely get the door sealed. We also, at this moment in time, have LL Cool J. We might have forgotten about him for a moment, but he's still in his kitchen with his parrot.
His bird.
His bird, who is voiced fantastically by Frank Welker, one of the most famous voice actors of all time.
I just thought it was the bird.
Oh, really? Yeah.
You got a big fat butt.
Well, one of the interesting things in the trivia is that Renny Harlin was just like, right, we got this parrot. What do we do? Do we get a trained parrot? And that means we've got to pay for the trainers and the handlers and everything else. He was like, let's just go get those 2 parrots. They'll do. They got 2 parrots to play the same one that could fly well, and one that could just sit there on his shoulder, peacefully. But yeah, what a character as well.
Yeah.
I hope nothing bad happens to the bird.
I mean, with LL Cool J, I'd come off the back of Halloween H2O.
Right.
So I was really surprised he was in that. And even more surprised he survived.
Yeah.
So when I got to Deep Blue Sea, I'm like, oh, LL Cool J's in this. I wonder if he'll survive.
Or be the first to die and fill in that next cliche tick box.
Well, no, he wouldn't be but the first, because Dr. Whitlock is.
Yeah. Although we haven't seen him die. No. He was still alive last we saw him.
Technically, the helicopter crew.
Yeah, they're all dead. Plus the lady on the operator.
So I remember sitting there in the cinema thinking to myself, man, I don't think they're going to kill him, because he's this preacher type character who's always friendly. He's a chef as well, so he's feeding the crew. And even though LL Cool J is not the world's greatest actor, he gives this character enough that when I read in the notes, they wanted to give this character to Samuel Jackson.
That's right.
And they turned it down. His agency turned it down. And I agree with that, because I feel like this character is just enough for LL Cool J to embody.
Yeah.
And it's just enough for me to remember him in this movie, where Samuel Jackson, I think, would have been lost, or would have lost something with this character. So instead giving him the rich character who gets his great scene.
Who didn't exist in the original script either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like with what happens to Samuel Jackson's character, there was no way you were going to kill off LL Cool J's character, or even try to make it be memorable.
Yeah.
But he has such great sequences with that bird.
Yeah. Feeding the bird.
Yeah.
Then sequences of him just walking down the corridor with the bird, and then seeing the water come in for the first time.
Yes.
The parrot freaking out and flying away as he goes up the stairs and then gets swept away by the water.
Oh God, yeah. Because we're seeing, like, with him, we're seeing what's happening to the rest of the facility.
Yes.
So we know that, all the people down further, in the facility are obviously trapped and water's getting in. But now we're being told that he's trapped up there as well. So what the hell do these people do? And you're building up, like, they've come to the realization that obviously Whitlock is dead, and that the tower has been destroyed, and they need to get to the surface. And so Carter's just like, look, if we go
down,
we go to the submarine room, and we get the submarine, and we'll go up 2 at a time. We'll get, we'll be fine. And so they get down there, and they realize that the submarine's been damaged. And this part always kind of throws me, because there's no water in the room other than the little pool that the sub would be lowered into. And even Michael Rappaport's character, Skoggs, who I said is the smart guy, smart technician, so you believe half the stuff that he says. He goes, there's nothing in this room that should have damaged that sub. So I sit there going, so you're telling me that a shark swam down, came up through that little hole, bashed the sub and then fell right back down into the hole again to swim back out.
Yeah, probably tell his mates, like, oh, don't go in there.
Yeah, like, there's nothing in there.
But one of his mates would be like, well, I'll go and test that theory. Yeah. And cause one of the most famous scenes in the whole film.
Yeah.
Because the group now, you know, hope is diminishing. They're starting to feel like they're not going to get out now that the sub's been destroyed. And Samuel L. Jackson's like, he's having none of it.
Well, he also gets the revelation from Susan at this point as well that she has genetically modified the sharks against all the rulings of his business.
Yeah.
And that these sharks are not only smarter, they're faster, they're structurally bigger, and they are just going to keep smashing down doors.
Yeah, because he's like, are they sharks smashing down these doors for fun?
Yeah.
It's like, they don't normally do that, right?
No, they're trying to get to us. And
yeah.
And like you said, he starts to give his little speech about being trapped on the mountain.
Yeah.
And people dying.
And how humanity can be worse than nature in terms of people killed each other after the avalanche. It wasn't just the ice that killed people.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to rally everyone together, give a big pep talk, and right as he's about to hit the heights of his big rallying speech, a shark leaps out of the water,
yeah,
clenches his teeth around him, smacks him into the ground, and then disappears into the pool.
First, we're gonna seal off this pool.
It's great to watch, though at this stage, like 27 years later, the CGI is a little bit...
It is horrendous. It is the worst CGI, I think, in the whole film. It looks rubbery and fake. Its movement is not natural or realistic. Samuel Jackson's skin tone changes frame by frame. Like, it just ragdolls, limp. There's just... all of it, when you look at it multiple times, it looks outrageously bad. But the shock value of the first time watching it will absolutely catch you off guard, because Samuel Jackson, 1999, the most famous person in this film. And so having him die in the middle of a big speech, like, it is a huge moment in the film, and it's the moment that's probably still the most remembered sequence of the whole film as well. And so even though it looks like ass now, like, the shock value still lingers throughout the film.
But that's the thing. I'll agree. The CGI, you know, hasn't aged since 1999, so it just gets worse and worse as our technology gets better. But the shock value is so... It's such a gut punch. It reminds me of Quint's death from Jaws. You know, Quint has just spent 20 minutes before talking about the Indianapolis and how he'll never put on a life jacket, and obviously he hates sharks, and, you know, and then he's getting chomped in half. And so the same thing with Samuel Jackson, where he's like, I'm Mr. Moneybags, I'm going to try and get you all out. We need to put these swimsuits on, and oh, fuck, I'm dead. And so then you're like, oh, shit, well, who's the hero now? Well, now we've got to rely on Carter.
Yeah.
You know, and Carter kind of knows what he's doing, but he doesn't want to take responsibility for these people's lives, because as the movie goes on, he just loses more and more and more. You know, they get to this maintenance ladder now, and Michael Rappaport's character, Skoggs, is just like, look, this is a maintenance ladder. We can try and climb to the surface. We just don't know what the surface is like. If it's been breached, as soon as I open this door, all the water is going to come in through the pool. And they opt to do it anyway, which then causes the water to come through, which forces the shark to obviously chase them up. And I actually think this is the worst CGI in the movie, is where you see the shark kind of swim into this little maintenance tunnel, and it's swimming around the top of the water. And I'm like, how rubbery is its spine? Because it's almost a fucking perfect circle. That's how small this cowboy is. And I was saying this to Gary as well. It's like, when we cut back to LL Cool J's character, Preacher, he gets chased by one of the sharks down a corridor into his own kitchen, and
it traps him in his own oven, and it manages to turn the oven on.
Yeah.
So it's going to cook the chef.
And it ate his bird.
Right,
which,
yeah.
You know, which is a shame, that poor bird. But it's such a great shot, the shark coming out and chewing on the bird. And there's, like, with the corridor sequence, the film has been telling you that these sharks are big and they're huge. But when LL Cool J, is in waist high water and the shark is kind of at the same level when you just see its fin, I'm like, is it dragging its belly along the corridor floor just to get to it?
It'd probably have to be that low down, yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably there with its fins trying to move tables and thing out of the way.
Like,
it's like
there's stuff in the corridor and the shark's moving this stuff out of the way. But it's such a great shot because it chases LL Cool J into his oven. shuts the door, turns the gas on. He starts the gas. Is he angry at God, or is he like angry that God's mocking him for
Right, yeah, for
drinking?
cooking him in his own oven.
Which-
Yeah, but it's a good job he had his axe with him, so he takes away the part above, climbs up through the oven, out through, jumps over the shark. The room's filled with gas now, and so Zippo time for the rescue, and kills the first Mako shark of the film.
Yeah.
You ate my bird.
That's probably the most unbelievable point for me as well in this entire movie is LL Cool J cutting his way into that tiny bit of oven,
Yeah.
climbing through the oven and jumping out of it at the same time. I swear, the more I watch it, the more that oven part that he cuts into kind of gets bigger and bigger the more we come back to it, just so he's got enough space.
Well,
to
yeah,
get to-
yeah. But I was expecting, like, first time watching it, I was like, he's got the axe. I was waiting for a spark to just be like, blow him up in the oven. But no.
No. He's killed his first shark, and the guys are still climbing up their maintenance ladder. They're trying to get up to the top, and Carter says, like, look, I need to open up a door further down from us to kind of get some runoff from the water, or the shark's going to get to us. And so he does get down there. He does manage to do that before the shark can get to him. He climbs up, but then because of the, I think it's the oven explosion in the kitchen, there's a bit of a kind of quake in the facility. The ladder comes off the wall, and Janice Higgins, played by Jacqueline McKenzie, she falls from the ladder. Unfortunately, she's trying to get rescued by Carter, and then she falls under the water, and as she comes out, she is in the mouth of one of the sharks, and we get one last gasp before she's kind of pulled away. It's kind of like the cliffhanger death.
Oh, yeah.
With Stallone and
yeah, exactly. The same director, so
Yeah.
the image matches. Now, in the original script, that poor lady was also pregnant.
Oh, yeah, no.
So the studio decided that it'd probably be best to remove that fact from the film because of the way she also, the irony of the way that she gets
died,
eaten, exactly. So it's like, I also really like that character. She's not a pivotal character in the film, but I liked the actress. I liked the way, like, most of the cast are trying to display a certain sense of fear, like Michael Rappaport's character eventually just goes in a complete shutdown.
Yeah.
I liked the way that she just held on to things.
Yeah.
She was just holding on to the scenery, onto the pillars for stability and support of some kind. I was like, I get that, because that's how I feel when I have a fear of heights.
Yeah.
When I'm high up, I just want to, like a limpet, hold on to something. So she was displaying that kind of catatonic fear.
Yeah.
And then when she does fall from the ladder, I was like, it's unfortunate because the film had a pretty good jump in terms of, you didn't expect Samuel Jackson to die when he's out of the water.
Yeah.
But when the rest of the whole film, whenever a single solitary character is in the water, you're like, well, they're dead now. So there's no surprise to it. So, but I will still say the film makes up for it with the imagery of her sat in the shark's mouth as it takes her up out of the water.
Yeah, because that's a practical shark.
It is
with her there.
Yeah, it's a practical shark. Yeah, so it still looks fantastic, even though I'm still sad that there's no surprise element to it. But I also like the character. So the whole sequence in that elevator tunnel with the fire at the top and the shark in the water, it's like, that's a great set piece.
Do you know, she does, the actress and the character always kind of reminds me of Veronica Cartwright from Alien.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's a bit where Janice says to Susan, after Susan's revealed what she's done, Janice is like, you stupid bitch.
Yeah.
You know, like, I can't believe you betrayed my friendship and got me in a situation by doing this behind my back. Much like, you know, Lambert from Alien is just like, why the fuck, you know, wouldn't you open the door to let us in? It's just like, look, some of these characters need to make these horrible decisions to keep this horrible film going. You know, unfortunately, you're the victim in this. But you've got Preacher hooking up with Susan Carter.
Yeah,
and
there's
Skunks
a moment, isn't there, where they're hearing the banging of the doors
banging of
again.
the door.
Oh, there's a shark above us. Now we're dead.
Yeah.
We're dead. And then there's Preacher Man.
It's a Preacher Man rescuing them. And he pulls them all to pulls them up onto the corridor, and they're coming up with this idea that the stairways to the surface are completely blocked. We need to go down back into the lab room, activate one of the pumps down there, and hopefully that will clear the water from the stairway and we can escape. And you're like, that sounds like a really great plan. And we've still got some of the movie to go. So somebody's gonna die.
Looking at you, Mr. Rappaport. He was just like, please do my zipper up, Mr. Mr. Preacher.
That's it. Michael Rappaport and Carter decide to go down to the lab.
Yeah, there is I like the film's sort of humor throughout. It's kind of dark humor. It's kind of appropriate at times, but like this is what separates this from Jaws, right?
Yeah,
That these characters start cracking one-off jokes, and you're just like, but like people, your friends have died, and now the humor's coming in, and it's like, and there's the sequence that it didn't sit right with me is when they're looking for batteries, and the blonde lady who's just died, and he's in there like, oh, where does she keep her, her vibrator?
I'll be like, what? Her toothbrush? It's
Right.
in the bathroom. That's where people keep their
I
toothbrushes.
just felt that was just really insensitive of these characters to like they've just lost their friend. Like, where did she keep her dildo?
But
Come
I think
on.
it's the humor. The script writers somewhere were like, look, we kind of need to keep the humor going, and you got to imagine like these scenes are probably filmed out of shots, so they might not have done the emotional death sequence yet. Just doing this shot, and then edited wise, like you said, we've just watched her die, and now you're laughing. Oh, where's her dildo? Luckily, they cut the whole pregnancy thing.
Exactly.
That would be so awkward.
Yeah. But it's at this time as well that Dr. Seuss is just like, you know what? This gives me an opportunity to go and get my research because I don't want everyone to die in vain.
Oh, yeah.
So she wanders down into her office and finds all the paperwork, collects a little bundle of it, and oh no, there's a shark. Oh wait, it was just a fake scare. It was just the mock shark sneaking up on her.
This sequence does make me laugh. It's because, so we watch her walk down some stairs to the corridor into her room. You're going to say, right, okay, so the shark that ends up in her room swam down that corridor. Okay. But we also watch her walk through the corridor to her room and close the door and then walk in the room to look for her research. And that's when we see the fake shark model that we'd seen earlier on in the movie kind of appear behind her. You know, I love the fact that it was under the surface and then surfaced.
Yeah.
And then when she knocks it out of the way, she then notices a second fin and realizes that one of the second smaller shark is in the room with her and she has to fight it. But you're telling me that the shark swam to that room? Like, there's hundreds of other rooms it could probably go to. It went to that room under the thought process that the doctor should turn up at some time and waited.
Yeah.
Till she closed the door and the two of them were sealed in the room.
Yeah, the serial killer shark.
Like, I can forget it because I'm like 3/4 of the way through this movie at this point and I don't give a shit. The shark could have opened the door, walked in and closed the door on it. I didn't give a fuck. It's just, after the 100 millionth time of watching it, you notice these things and you go,
where did that shark really come from? And how long has it been in there for? What?
I kind of like this moment for her as well because...
Because she strips down.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm a simple man, but it's the way that like they're resourceful. These characters are resourceful. They're not all relying on one character to come and save them. You know, very easily the movie could have just set it up that Carter would just come and save everybody. But while she's having to fight her shark here, Carter and Skoggs have gone down to the lab, and while they've been trying to move stuff around, and I mean, you know, they're in such deep water, the big shark's got to be around there somewhere. And so even while they're accomplishing their task and fucking thumbs up in each other under the water, you know, fucking Carter just looks and sees the giant shark in the background, and it just fucking swims up and it slams Skoggs into the generator. So all that work that they've just gone through is completely shot because the sharks destroyed the generator.
Yep.
But it sets up that Carter is now terrified because he's seen another one of his friends die and he's almost come close to death. So that keeps him away from Susan, who's in her office, ripping the electric cable down from the lights in her room. And then she's just waiting for the shark to appear and then, blam, jams it with the electric.
I don't know if it was intentional or not, but this is the second shark to die now in the same pattern as Jaws.
I thought
First one was blown up.
Yeah.
Second one's electrocuted.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I was in the Jaws 3. So.
Jaws 3 got blown up by a grenade, and the fourth one...
It gets impaled, and then it just explodes.
And then explodes. So, like, in a way, I like to think that the third shark dies because of a combination of 3 and 4.
Right, yeah.
You know, I thought that was quite cool. But she's electrocuted the shark, And she's also destroyed all of her research. So, yeah, like, she tried to redeem herself and made it worse.
Yeah. I mean, she's got a lot of people killed. There's not really much...
No, yeah. And I suppose
I mean, is
building
it...
up her character ending
Yeah.
is really good that way, though.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? The three of them have obviously come to the realization that, yeah, the generator idea is completely shot, so we're going to have to go to an emergency kind of diving room, fill the room up with water, and then once the pressure's gone, we're just going to have to swim to the surface. It's only 60 feet in deep ocean.
Preacher says his prayers. Carter's made some more distractions, which is like fire extinguishers with life support jackets.
Yeah.
And actually the shark does go to those because it's making the most sort of bubbles in the water. And the three of them do manage to get to the surface.
See, I also like to think, because this is this last shark is the last smart one, like the biggest smart one. So I like to think that it just attacks those extinguishers out of spite.
Right.
Like, I could kill you, but I'm going to go for these just to fuck around. Because once they break the surface, Preacher gets bitten on the leg and gets pulled around. And great shot, great set. You know, they've got the kind of the real set location. And then you've got LL Cool J being pulled around. Not by the old school ropes like they did in
Jaws.
Jaws, you know, they actually had some proper trained people, I suppose. He pulls out his crucifix and he stabs the shark in the eye and actually gets it to let him go, which is pretty cool. And between the three of them, this is when Carter realizes, we've been destroying the facility ourselves to make it hopefully sink because our fences above on the surface are really weak. And so the shark's been waiting for us to sink the facility so then it can break through the fence.
Which it's now currently doing. So Carter quickly comes up with a plan to harpoon it and then attach the end of the harpoon to a battery and with flare powder, gunpowder. Yeah.
I thought it was a bit much for me. Like I said, 100 million times I've watched this film that I'm like, holy shit, the whole fucking surface of this lab's been destroyed, but they managed to find a harpoon gun, enough wire to get it, with enough explosives to kill it. I was lucky we left all that up there, isn't it?
Oh, but wait, he can't get the shot. The shark's too far away.
Oh no, they have to lure it out. How are they going to do that, Gary?
Live bait. Let's send in the wicked, vile, evil scientist lady.
Well,
who's not really that evil or vile.
Yeah.
But the film's kind of painted her that way. Now, test audiences for this film, when it in 1999, really did not like the original ending of the film. They apparently, some of the report cards came back saying, kill that bitch. So Renny was just like, you know what? Enough people have spoken and said, kill that bitch. So I'm going to do it. And so they actually was given budget to go back and reshoot some things, but also to delete some scenes from the film.
Nice.
Which would paint the Dr. Susan as a more sympathetic character in terms of dealing with a family member suffering from Alzheimer's that she's trying to cure, so her motivation, etc. And so the sympathy is now removed and the coldness of her determination is now what really underlines her character. So you do feel like mad scientist Dr. Frankenstein should get their comeuppance by the monster at the end.
Yeah.
And so when she is in the water and she does bait the shark away and then she does go to climb out, and so you're like, oh, she didn't intend to sacrifice herself. She did try to get out.
Yeah.
But then it's like, oh, you're just stuck in the water now. And again, it's like the surprise twist kills. Like, it still is effective because you still think somehow she might survive this.
Yeah, like Carter's going to save her. Yeah.
Even when you see her arms disappear into the shark's mouth, you're like, oh, well,
she might still be alive.
maybe.
I always like it as well that there's like a glimpse between the shark and Susan, as if the shark knows her.
Yeah.
And it's just like, this isn't on me. This is all you.
Yeah, you did this, lady.
You did this, lady. And so, yeah, part of me kind of, even though I do feel sad for the Dr. Susan character, and maybe that's just the way acted and the script has delivered it, that when she dies at the end, I'm like, oh, but I'm also like, yeah, you fucking...
Yeah, you deserve that. Yeah,
I'm glad.
Yeah, but the whole film's the parable of messing with nature, with science, and it will bite you in half.
And so then Carter, who's jumped in the water, tried to save Susan, has obviously seen her die. And then the shark has come along and he's done his little thing like he did at the beginning. Dodged it, grabbed its fin. It's swimming for the fence. And LL Cool J, who is obviously trying to just relax at this point after being
He should have
filmed.
bled out by this point.
He should be fucking
He should have
dead.
been in two.
But he's protected by God.
He is.
God
yeah,
is
he
protecting him.
Yeah.
He manages to get the harpoon gun, and I don't know if the preacher chef has ever fired a gun in his life, but he's a hell of a good shot.
Well, he managed to miss the 40-foot shark and hit the human riding it.
Well, he got the fin, yeah, you know, right through the leg of Carter as well. And so he's then going to try to attach the wire to the battery to detonate the explosions. Carter manages to rip himself off the harpoon just as the shark hits the fence, just as the metal hits the battery. Ba-boom!
And it's raining sharks.
Yeah.
But not tornadoes.
Yeah. Bring me back some sushi. That's what he says. Isn't
And
it?
that's what I mean. It's like the humor is there, you know. I'm just like, everyone's just died. Everyone is dead. And you're like, bring me some sushi. I'm a chef. It's like, oh, how many sharks you say there were? I'll stick my legs out of the water.
Yeah, that's
like,
it.
it's just like, come on. Like,
There were 3, right? Was there? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. See, that's it's okay, you know, because it's the whole fear of the water thing. But,
It's the
but
fact
then
that the crew start coming back.
yeah, cheering like, hey.
Hey guys, what happened? We've been away for like 24 hours, it seems, you know?
And then, of course, we get LL Cool J's rap song to see us out.
So bad.
Take me back to the ghetto.
Amen.
Deepest, bluest, my head is like a shark. I remember that from fucking...
Did he write that on a napkin? Did it take him all of 2 minutes to come up with that? No, I'm not a fan, but it's part of the film.
Yeah.
You know? It's like Wild Wild West.
Oh, it's better than Wild Wild
Yeah.
West. Fucking... Oh.
Well, Ian, what were your favourite scenes from Deep Blue Sea?
Oh man, like, what do you say? Like, easily enough, anything that involves the practical effects of the sharks, I think, are phenomenal to watch. Like, the lab sequence from the moment Samuel Jackson walks in and sees the lab in all its glory, to the experiment, to Skarsgård getting his arm bitten off, to the helicopter plowing into the tower, and then Skarsgård getting his kind of gurney body thrown at the screen and then the screen exploding. That entire sequence alone, I think, is fucking phenomenal. I could almost say that sequence alone almost tops Jaws for me, because it's so up to date and it's so versatile and we get to see so much more. And like Gary said, it's so well lit that even in the darkest moments, we can see what's going on. You know, it's absolutely brilliant. Some of the CGI stuff is a bit weak in places, but then some of it is done really, really well. Like I said, that the bit in the ladder where it's swimming around, I think looks really, really weak. But the part where Skoggs gets absolutely smashed into the generator, I think is a really, really well done sequence. The kitchen oven sequence is absolutely stupid, but I'm here for stupid deaths. Even if it's a shark, I don't care. You know, you ate my bird. Blows it all the way up. I mean, how can you not love Samuel Jackson getting eaten by the shark? I mean, you know, I swear as well, there was a few times after this, there was just movies where he would die. You know? This movie goes up there, I think, for Samuel Jackson, up there with, like, Unbreakable. You know, where he is acting in a sequence, in a bunch of sequences that we wouldn't expect to see him act in, but he not only elevates those sequences, but also brings it back to the point where you're shocked. You know, after he dies in this sequence with this shark, somebody came up to him and went, "Hey, would you like to fight snakes on a plane?" And he said yes. I also really like the sequence with the scientist lady at the beginning, where she says, like, on the surface it's like glass, but underneath gliding monsters.
A world of gliding monsters. Yeah.
I absolutely love that line. And that also then feeds into the part where, you know, when they're going down the elevator and she starts to break down the facility to him and it goes onto the outside and you can see certain things. It just sets it all up. And I'm there. I'm here. I'm there with them and the sharks.
Yeah, I agree. The first 40 minutes of the film did everything right in terms of having the shark attack at the beginning, establishing the threat of the sharks, establishing the science, the characters, the facility, the world. It all felt believable from the tech to, even though it is like crazy science that they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
It all felt fairly grounded.
Yeah. So
that when, the spectacle and the explosions and the drama and all the action kicks off, you're kind of still invested in the characters and the world and want to see them survive. I thought the first 40 minutes was really strong, and then the second 40 minutes where all the action and blood and gore and CGI and everything all does happen, you're already invested. It's really entertaining and really well done. So it's a well-produced, big-budget B-movie.
Yeah.
That also has some interesting character interactions and some parables about, nature and science and stuff. But yeah, the whole film is really a favorite scene. The Samuel Jackson death sequence is so memorable. It looks like shit now, but the shock value still remains, and his loss throughout the rest of the film, because he's the star of the film and he is one of the first main characters to die. It's quite shocking, and it remains so. I mean, I like a good explosion, and that helicopter, wow, that was one hell of an explosion. And that poor lady in her office with her arms flailing in the air, she gets sent flying. Like, damn. Yeah. I mean, I don't understand, I'm sure that the mechanisms, the harness or whatever, it should have snapped under a certain amount of weight, or it should have been able to carry him and the shark out of the water, or...
Yeah,
I don't know.
But maybe that's it. I like to think that the helicopter pilots didn't know what they were getting into when they flew out there.
Yeah.
So when he drops in the water, they're hoping to be able to bring him back up. They just don't know something's got hold of him and is dragging them along. I also know from reading the books of Jaws that in the Jaws 2 book, they wanted to do a sequence like this where there was a Navy helicopter and the shark got hold of something and it pulled it along and rammed them into something. But obviously, budget constraints, they weren't able to. So happy to see it
done here.
Done in a shark movie in Deep Blue Sea, even though it's really silly that they should have just detached the cable, flown off, not even gone out there in the fucking first place in the middle of a storm.
I also really like the parrot.
Yeah,
Gutted when the parrot died.
Yeah.
Ian, do you recommend Deep Blue Sea?
Just for the parrot. The parrot's one of the greatest actors of our time. It never went off to do any other films of any type, but it didn't need to. That parrot cemented itself in this movie as just a top star. Samuel Jackson gets killed off, the lead scientist gets killed off, and the parrot gets killed off. But you remember that parrot. So yes, I definitely remember. I do recommend Deep Blue Sea and the parrot.
Yeah, I'm also going to recommend Deep Blue Sea. It's certainly worth a watch. And if you like shark attack films, then this becomes a must-watch. Renny Harlin spared no expense when putting this film together, with some great action scenes, tense suspense sequences, gore, humor, and explosions. It's very entertaining, big budget B-movie fun. The sharks are the real stars, and at only 5 minutes of screen time, their presence is always felt as our cast of chum try to escape after messing with science and nature. The effects in the film have held up fairly well, especially the practical sharks. Fantastic animatronics and robotics. They work well while the CGI is looking terrible at this point, but it doesn't distract or pull you out of the film, as everything else is working really well to keep you invested. The music score by Trevor Robin is also brilliant. It had character, it was distinct and epic sounding, and it really blended the whole film together. I think it's a top tier soundtrack. So yeah, watch this for the action, the effects, the soundtrack, and the humor, and for one of cinema's most shocking and unexpected death scenes. How fast can you swim? Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
Did someone order the fish?